And welcome back to the 700 Club. There's a new warning today as Americans celebrate the 4th of July. Extreme heat is hitting much of the nation, leading to hazardous conditions. Along with that scorching heat, dozens of dangerous wildfires are burning out west. Mark Martin has the story.
On this Independence Day, for millions of Americans, it will feel like temperatures in the triple digits. In Boston, authorities brought in large fans to cool the crowds for upcoming 4th of July festivities.
You need to stay hydrated.
The scorching heat brought a commuter train to a halt in Philadelphia, knocking out the power.
Stuck on train now for almost 2 hours, and it's probably about 120 degrees on this train.
In New Jersey, rescue workers helped evacuate 50 seniors from a nursing home after the air conditioning stopped working. The temps soared above 100 degrees. Out west, the heat and dry winds are fueling more than 40 wildfires in nearly a dozen states. The spring fire in southern Colorado spread to nearly 80,000 acres. It's the second largest in state history. This social media footage shows one of the more than 100 homes destroyed by the flames.
It looked like Hiroshima had another A-bomb dropped on it.
Officials say an illegal campfire started the massive wildfire. In Utah, leaders there declared a state of emergency. The governor urges common sense this Independence Day.
Only do a campfire in a designated campground. Don't leave fires unattended. Be careful with fireworks.
Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for thousands of homes in the fire zones. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Federal authorities are revealing new details about an Ohio man's plan to launch terror attacks during the 4th of July celebrations. They stopped him in time, but as Eric Rosales reports, extra security measures are being taken across the country.
Here in the nation's capital, the 4th of July celebration will bring thousands to the National Mall. The fences are already up, and you can already see an increase in police presence, just like in other cities across the country, like New York and Boston.
I want to remind everyone that the 4th of July is a family event. Be smart. If you see something, say something.
There's no specific credible threat to this 4th of July celebration. That said, we understand it is a symbolic American holiday.
Law enforcement know attacks like the one foiled in Cleveland can happen anywhere. A 30-page complaint detailed how Demetrius Pitts wanted to carry out the attacks. The feds say he not only wanted to have bombs explode at Cleveland's 4th of July celebrations, but also at a church, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and other beloved Cleveland landmarks.
He looked for locations to park a van that would be packed with explosives. He talked about taking targets like St. John's Cathedral off the map, and just yesterday he discussed giving remote control cars packed with explosives and shrapnel to the children of our military uniform members.
Pitts allegedly wanted to hit Philadelphia. The affidavit said a map with multiple landmark targets was also found. Agents say Pitts thought he was meeting with another al-Qaeda sympathizer, but it was really an undercover FBI agent.
The undercover and Mr. Pitts had a lengthy conversation. Pitts again, on his own, expressed his allegiance to al-Qaeda, his desire to participate in a terror attack on July 4th in Cleveland, Ohio.
Pitts remains locked up, awaiting trial.
Authorities say best advice: if you see something, say something. Your tip may prevent an attack. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
As Americans celebrate independence, some Iranians are dreaming they'll be free one day as well. Public anger is rising again in Iran, feeding the idea of possible regime change in the Islamic Republic. But as Chris Mitchell reports, protests have been met by violence from authorities.
Iranian police fired on protesters demonstrating in the streets about salty, muddy drinking water during a severe drought in the country. While Iran's foreign minister downplayed this incident, it follows last week's protest at Tehran's Grand Bazaar, outside Iran's parliament, and in dozens more locations across Iran.
We are now, I believe, very realistic in being able to see an end of the regime in Iran. We can see it.
Mayor Rudy Giuliani cited those demonstrations at the annual meeting of Iran's main opposition group.
They continue to grow and grow with numbers that now threaten to topple the regime. When that happens, then freedom is right around the corner.
Giuliani credited President Trump's decision to pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal and reimpose sanctions for putting enormous pressure on Iran's economy. He noted today's protests were coordinated and that even more economic pressure could soon hit an Iranian economy already in freefall. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the impact of the sanctions.
In complete contrast to what the international experts said, not only has the reimposition of sanctions not united the Iranian public around the regime, the complete opposite is happening.
Netanyahu's also used social media to speak directly to the Iranian people during the unrest. Michael Oren, Israel's Deputy Minister of Diplomacy, told CBN News Israel is trying to resurrect an historic friendship.
You know, the Iranian and Jewish people have an historic alliance. It goes back 2,500 years. We were never at war with these people. Their government, their regime has been at war with us. Up to 1979, up to the Iranian Revolution, we had excellent relations with the Iranian people. We want to go back to where those relations were in 1979 and to restore what we see as an aberration in our historic friendship.
Despite the growing opposition to the Iranian regime, Oren is cautious about expecting change.
For many years I've been heard about imminent change of governments in Iran. For the last 40 years it hasn't happened. So let's be cautious about it and frankly let's hope.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.